Podcast disclaimer. Still Talking Murder contains graphic and explicit content. This podcast is not intended for all audiences, and you may find the content disturbing. We will be talking about murders, crimes, and violence. So if you are sensitive to any of these topics, you may want to skip this episode or possibly the entire podcast.
The party's starting now. We're all going to get together down in the living room.
You're in danger. We all are.
And is the verdict guilty of murder? I wonder how it'll end.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Talking Murder with My Mother podcast. I am your host, Sonia, and here is my mother. Hello, Mother.
Hi, Sonia.
Yeah, and hi, everybody. And we're back again, and this time I have a fun one. Okay, well, fun one. It's not fun. They're never fun in the sense of fun, but you know what I mean. Okay, so I found this, and I found it really interesting, and I'm going to read it to my mother and the rest of you, and you're going to tell me what you think, Ma. All right. So, Evening Courier, February 14th, 1948. Valentine's Day. New Jersey schoolgirl slays mother in row over Valentine dance. All right. Junior's skull fractured in the home battle. So the little girl's skull is fractured in the home battle. Okay? So here we go. 15-year-old Marian Russo, who today admitted to police that she killed her mother in an argument over whether she could attend a Valentine's dance, was found to be in serious condition with a fractured skull, apparently inflicted by her mother in their violent basement battle. All right. A homicide charge has been filed against the girl, police said. It appeared possible, however, that in view of her own injuries, the slaying might be looked upon as justifiable self-defense. All right. This is the thing that got me when I saw this. It says, I hit her with everything I could get my hands on. Marion, an only child described by neighbors as a quote-unquote sweet kid, was quoted by police as saying, I hit her with everything I could get my hands on. Okay? All right. The body of Mrs. Lillian Russo, 40, was found in the blood-spattered basement of her home last night, lying amidst broken glass and crockery. Franklin is in Sussex County. At first, Marion told police that her mother had fallen down the stairs and killed herself. Okay. But when police found bloodstains in the bathroom and evidence that she had attempted to wash bloodstained clothes, they questioned the girl further. After an ambulance, doctor found welts and bruises on her, the dark-haired girl confessed the slaying. She said she came home about 5:30 carrying the corsage she planned to wear to the junior class Valentine's dance. She went down to the basement to show her mother the flowers. You can't go, Mrs. Russo told her. The girl said she pleaded with her mother, and the argument became bitter. All right, quote-unquote again. She knocked me down and then began hitting me with a piece of pipe, Marion said. Then I fought back. I hit her with everything I could get my hands on. Police said bottles, crockery, fruit jars that I guess that they had, been...
The canning.
The canning? Yeah. All of this was smashed against the woman's head. Her feet had been crammed into a duffel bag as though an attempt had been made to dispose of her body. Again, this girl is 15 years old. I don't know how she thought she was going to get away with this, but panicky, Marion ran upstairs to the bathroom, tried to wash the blood from her hands and clothes. Then she went to a neighbor's and said her mother had fallen down the stairs. Marion's father, Samuel Russo, a barber, returned home after police had arrived at the cottage, and he collapsed when he learned of the tragedy. Police said Marion would be arraigned on homicide charges in juvenile court. That's a fun Valentine's Day so far.
Well, this has nothing to do with Valentine's Day, but there's a very recent case of a young woman, early 20s, if I'm not mistaken, who used a cast iron frying pan to kill her mother.
Well, that's going to do it.
And so that kind of, of course, she didn't use the rest of the kitchen and the kitchen sink, but it kind of reminded me of that same, same kind of a reaction that, and again, this was not a 15-year-old, she was a little bit older, but having said that, she basically probably just picked up whatever she had obviously on hand, and when somebody says no, I think some people...
I'm a little confused as to why her mother was beating her with a lead pipe.
We don't know, of course, the backstory as to what their relationship was previous to this. So I guess maybe the daughter was intimidating and she picked up the pipe, or maybe their relationship already was a little bit skewed where that kind of thing always came into play. So, I mean, the end result is still the end result, one way or the other. She killed her mother. But yeah, it kind of, like when you were saying she was throwing the kitchen sink at her practically, it reminded me of this other recent case of this young woman with the frying pan. And it was, I mean, murder is murder, and I guess one can sometimes empathize, sympathize with someone, but I mean, 15 years old, I mean, I remember when I was 15, I don't think I ever thought about that. I was still playing with dolls.
Well, I don't think Grandma ever hit you on the head with a lead pipe either, so as far as I know.
No, just a slipper.
Yeah, there you go.
That
A
was
chanclas.
That was the traditional European, I guess.
Or a spoon.
Or a wooden spoon. But
Yeah.
no, my mom, it was always with the slipper. It was the thread of the slipper.
All right, so let's see what happens to this girl. I also really, this next part as well. Asbury Park Press, February 15th, 1948. Schoolgirl held for matricide. A schoolgirl who was writing an essay on, quote unquote, the ideal mother, faces a murder charge today in the Valentine's Eve slaying of her mother. So this was something she was writing for school, an essay on the ideal mother. So ironic. Marian Russo, 15, wanted to go to the junior prom at Sussex High School Friday night. I don't know how it's prom. That may be a mistake. Junior prom? In February? Maybe. In 1948, who the hell knows what's going on. She wanted to go to junior prom at Sussex High School Friday night, said Police Chief Herbert C. Irons. Her mother, Mrs. Lillian Russo, 35, objected, and Chief Irons said the girl made this statement over a long dispute over the dance, culminating in blows between the girl and the mother in the basement of the home. The mother struck the girl with a lead pipe, and the girl wielded a beer bottle in self-defense. So now we even introduced a beer bottle into this whole scenario.
Well, there's a little bit of a change there. In the first section that you read, they said the mother was 40. Here they're saying she's 35.
Hold on, let me go back.
No, it's just, what is
That is correct. However, I have her actual date of birth. So hold on, let me go check that out, because I already have.
What was it that one of these characters on TV, when you have a murder, specific things matter? Like, so to me, sometimes I take
Well,
it.
she was born in 1916. So, I mean, she was 32 to be exact,
Huh.
because I have her exact date of birth.
So it's not 32 or 30, well, not 35 or 40, it's 32.
Yeah, and she was born in Connecticut. Yeah, no, this is her. I definitely have her information. So she was 32. So obviously, I don't trust everything the newspapers put in these things, but okay.
Which made her a very young mother. Let's go with that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That made her a very, very young mother, which again,
17. She was 17 when she gave birth to
Yeah,
Marion,
very young
which
mother.
probably, I mean, makes sense back then. So it says, the mother slumped to the floor. Terror-stricken, the girl tried to stuff the body into a canvas bag, but the bag came only above her waist. The girl then washed away the bloodstains, changed her clothing, and summoned a neighbor, Frank Donch. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, sir. I'm sorry if I'm not. She told him her mother had fallen down the cellar stairs and was badly injured. The girl is currently in Franklin Hospital with a skull fracture, and physicians said she would require treatment for several weeks, and 2 matrons are currently guarding her. Okay. So, yeah, and they're guarding her in shifts, so she's not going anywhere, this little girl. All right. So, February 16th, Arizona Republic, 1948. A heartbroken father stood by his 15-year-old daughter today as she fought for her life in a Franklin hospital where she is in serious condition from injuries she received in a fight in which she killed her mother with a beer bottle. I guess that's the last thing that got her. Both Sam Russo, 36, and his daughter Maria wept as the pretty junior high school girl told of the argument Friday night over a St. Valentine's Day dance, which led to the slaying of Mrs. Lillian Russo, again, age 35. Not correct. Mrs. Russo was bludgeoned to death, and her daughter is in serious condition with a skull fracture. The daughter contended she beat her mother after Mrs. Russo refused her permission to go to the dance and hit her over the head with a lead pipe.
I guess one has to decide which hill you want to die on, what rule you want to, impose in such a way that,
I mean, we can't know that, like, her dad wasn't the nice one and her mom was, like, the bad one. I mean, again, I don't know. This is, like, all allegedly. I have no idea. But if it is true that this girl asked to go to a dance and the response is no and getting smacked in the head with a lead pipe, I mean, I don't know what, I don't know how you don't say defend yourself.
I have a funny feeling that this might have been a point of contention before this. I can't believe that in one...
Oh, no. This
second,
didn't just...
I think this had to come from before, that she'd been...
This sounds like a...
begging to go previous to this, because this one instance of somebody just saying no in that one instance would provoke you to pick up a pipe or to pick up, a beer bottle or pick up something.
She may be a daddy's girl, not a mommy's girl. Again, I don't know. 15-year-old girls and their mothers, not every relationship is the same. Some hate each other's guts. Some don't. I didn't hate you at 15. It wasn't one of those. So, we can't...
Well, I didn't hate my mother at 15, but I led a very sheltered life.
But I didn't, and I didn't hate you.
No, I know we had our points of
but that's in everything.
Contention on numerous occasions. I mean,
I don't recall any moments of lead pipes being smashed into my skull.
Well, I mean, I didn't have that type of bringing up, except for the proverbial slipper, and not very often at that, and absolutely not at 15. But, again, we don't know what their past history was. So it's difficult. It's easy enough to listen to the story. It's an awful...
You kind of have to assume certain things and you don't really know the truth. So, again, we can only go with what the court said. So, what does the court say? February 18th, the Courier News, 1948. Girl cleared in mother's death. A Sussex County... grand jury refused yesterday to indict Marian Russo, 15, in the beer bottle slaying of her mother. Prosecutor Adrian Hummel, I'm not sure how, called a special session of the grand jury to hear the girl's case. Witnesses heard were police officers, a welfare worker, and a physician. Then Prosecutor Hummel, left the jury room and informed Samuel Russo, father of the girl, that no indictment had been found. The girl is a junior in Franklin High School. Wait a minute. Didn't we say before that it was Sussex High School?
Well, maybe Sussex is the county.
Maybe. Okay, so if it's not, that's two different things.
It's probably the county.
Okay. She is still in Franklin Hospital. She's being treated for her fractured skull, which she said she received in the battle with her mother. She was booked on a murder charge after the body of her mother was found in the cellar of her home. The girl said she argued with her mother about going to the dance. And it says down here, the two were in the cellar cleaning up cartons of food and other materials when the girl said it began, and then the mother hit her over the head with a galvanized pipe, and she struck back, and the beer bottle is what did it. The mother died of a brain hemorrhage. The father is a barber in Branchville, and he was not home at the time, which we already know. Okay, so, no indictment, no nothing.
Well, she was a juvenile, so...
Self-defense.
We begin with the fact that she was 15 and a juvenile, so maybe the court looked at it that way, although it would not be the first time that a juvenile is convicted or tried as an adult. And then convicted. But again, here they're looking at, and when I say here, I mean the U.S., is looking at a lot of the cases of 17 and under that have been convicted and are supposed to be in prison for a very, very long time. They're looking back at the situation and the details of whatever their case was and deciding that some people should not have been tried as adults. So I guess at that time, when you're looking at a 15-year-old, the probability that they would have charged her as an adult would, she probably would have gone and been put in some kind of facility until she was 18, and that wouldn't be a first. But interesting case.
So, just extra little side notes to it. So, of course, I like to go hunt and find these people because I'm the way that I am. So, I went ahead and I find out. So, this was 1948, right? All right. So, I pull up the 1950 census. I find her, Marian Russo. She's now 17. She is still single, never married. She's still living in Franklin, Sussex, New Jersey with her father. He is 41. She is 17 in the census. Excuse me. Then I find him. He's born in 1909. He dies in 2003, the father, Samuel Russo, at 94 years old. And he dies in Broward County, Florida, baby, where we are recording this right now. Died in Broward County, 2003, at the age of 94. Good for you, sir. Apparently, he got remarried because his wife, Camille, died in 2015. So I don't know when they got married, but apparently she had a stepmother at some point. What else do I have? Okay, then I found her, which was a little bit harder to do because, as we all know, the women tend to get married most of the time. And if they get married 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then I lose track of them. But thank God that didn't happen here. And I found her pretty quickly, but I had to find her through her husband. So her husband, he died in 2012 in Atlantis, Florida. And for those of you guys who don't know, Atlantis is like a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a section of West Palm Beach, and we actually used to own a gas station in Atlantis. So we're very well aware of this medical facility that her husband died in. And he was a federal judge. She married a...
Snap! Snap!
She married a federal judge. It looks like she was a pretty nice, decent person from, all accounts. Again, I don't know her or whatever, but I did find her obituary. So she died, it says Marian E. Politan, née Russo, 80, of Atlantis, Florida. And you gotta have bucks to live in Atlantis, by the way, if you didn't know.
Muchos bucks.
Muchos bucks. Formerly of West Orange, New Jersey, died Tuesday, October 2nd, 2012. Relatives and friends may visit the family on Friday, October 5th from 4 to 8 at the Cody Funeral Home, which is located at the Dancy Funeral Home. That's a little odd. I'm going to have to look that up. And it says, born in Franklin, Mrs. Politan lived in West Orange for 25 years and Livingston, New Jersey for 10 years before returning to West Orange, where she lived prior to moving to Atlantis 3 years ago. A homemaker, she was the beloved wife of the late Honorable Nicholas H. Politan, retired federal judge, devoted mother of Nicholas and his wife Robin, and Vincent and his wife Dolly, and cherished grandmother of Sam, Will, Nick, Christina, Vincent, and Max. She is survived by many nieces and nephews, and in lieu of flowers, donations to the Carol G. Simon Cancer Center. So I don't know if she actually died of cancer or not, but she lived till 80. So, and it looks like she got married to the judge, she was married to him for like ever. So that's what happened to Marian Russo, who literally, according to her, hit her with everything I could get my hands on. Crazy, huh?
Well, interesting if not crazy. It's just, luckily, she took her life and she did something with it.
Yeah, apparently she had a good life, which is good.
So much for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I don't know how they celebrate Valentine's Day in her house, but I don't know if that was something they celebrated. I guess at some point you got to get over it. You did what you did and you got to live with it, right?
Well, the only thing I can say is we shouldn't leave one day in the year to actually bring some flowers or some candies or just a small gift to somebody and just to say,
I appreciate
hey,
you.
I appreciate you. I love you. I think this past year, 2023, at least for me, has been a bust. It has not exactly been a year I care to go back to, that I would like to repeat. But all I have to say is, and I've talked to you ad nauseum about this, I have begun to teach myself to not be angry, to take the small things that I can get and just hug them close. And so please, Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day. If you care for somebody, even a coworker that you really appreciate, give them a little something. You don't have to wait till Valentine's Day. That's all I have to say.
All right, Mother. Well, that's good advice, because if you care about somebody, you don't have to wait till Valentine's Day to tell them. And you can even buy them something from the frickin' dollar store. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, I love the dollar store.
That's
people.
right. It
I
doesn't
love dollar store.
matter. So that's our episode for today. And as always, take care of yourselves and don't let strangers turn your bones into wind chimes. Bye. Say bye, Mother.
Bye.